Hey guys, welcome. We are doing lesson 31 and 2 for today's lesson. Our focus question is, how does William use the powerful force of the wind? And our content framing is, how does the boy who harnessed the wind build my knowledge? So in this lesson, we're going to begin by completing a new read assessment. And then we are going to also watch a video featuring William Kamkwamba to reinforce our knowledge from the book and learn new information. All right, so now I am going to share my screen with you. Let me get rid of all this extra stuff here. That way, let me move myself down out of the box up there.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to Wit and Wisdom Instinct. My name is Tanisha Spears, and I'm excited to jump into our lesson for today. But before we do, let's make sure you have your materials ready. For this lesson, you will need your Wit and Wisdom Instinct journal and a pencil. Pause the video now if you need to gather your materials. In previous work, you had an opportunity to identify the important message in the text, The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. And today you'll reflect on the knowledge you gained and the skills you've learned, or the things that you can do as a reader and a writer as a result of reading the text. Now remember, in the beginning of the module, you made predictions about the type of book that each text was. I want you to look back at your notes to see if you can find a chart that you made with predictions about each type of text that's in this module. The chart looks like what you see on your screen. And don't worry if you can't find your chart. You can also just think back and try and remember your predictions. Okay, did you find your chart? Or do you remember your predictions? Let's review. At the beginning of the module, what kind of book did you predict The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind would be? One more time. At the beginning of the module, what type of book did you predict The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind would be? Did you look back at your notes or think back to those predictions? Now, I don't want you to worry if your prediction is correct or not, because until you read a book, it's very hard or almost impossible to know what kind of book it actually is. Let's take a moment to review the characteristics for each type of book, genre of book. So, for books who tell stories, they tell about what happens to a character. They have characters, setting, a problem, and a resolution. And they have a beginning, middle, and an end. Books that give information is information that teaches something about a topic. It gives facts, and it sometimes has text features. Now, you've had a chance to read The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind and follow along with me as I review the characteristics of books that tell stories and books that give information. I want you to now think, what kind of book do you think The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind is? Did you think about it? Okay, lock that in. Now I want you to think why, or in other words, what characteristics from the chart makes you think that it's that type of book? Share your thinking with your learning partner or just share aloud.
Okay, well, I thought it was a book that told a story because it was about a character and there was a setting, there was a problem, and how he fixed it. So it had a beginning, middle, and end. But then the more I think about it, it was a book that gave facts also. So it was something true. And it also gave information about the topic. I'm still leaning more towards books that tell a story.
share your thinking of why you thought The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind was the type of book that it is? Now, I want you to know something. This book is a tricky one because it has some characteristics of both types of books. The beginning, a middle, and an end. But William is a real person, and the book gives facts about his life. So, what does that mean about the text, The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind? Let me think. The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind is a kind of text called narrative nonfiction. And that means that it does have some characteristics of a story, like a beginning, a middle, and an end, but because it's based on facts about a real person's life, it's categorized as a book that gives information. Okay, so now that we know The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind is a narrative nonfiction text, let's think about the question that will frame our work for today. And that question is, how does this text build my knowledge? Wow, friends, you have already learned so much and know how to do a ton. Now you're going to think about the knowledge that you gained from reading The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. You'll also begin to think about the skills you've learned as a reader and a writer. Now, take a look at the chart on your screen. You've seen this many, many times. Remember, on the left-hand side is where you capture all the new information that you learned. And on the right-hand side is where you capture the skills or the things that you can do as a reader and a writer. Now I want you to think, what did you learn from reading The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind? You could think about what you learned about windmills or what you learned about the types of text. So think. What did you learn from reading The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind?
So what did you learn from The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind? I learned that William was able to read science books to build a windmill. What did you learn?
Share with your learning partner. Share aloud. Here are a few things that I can recall learning. There are true stories that have facts and also have story elements. We also know that windmills use wind to generate electricity and pump water. Now let's think about what you learned to do as a reader and a writer as a result of reading this book. Let's think back about your work with this book. Did you learn anything about how to get information from a text? What did you learn about writing descriptions? Think. Share your ideas with your learning partner or just share aloud.
Did you learn to use sensory and feeling words? Yes.
Here are a few skills that I thought of. I thought about how we can use the words and the illustrations together to learn information. I also thought about how we can use sensory and feelings words in writing. Did you think of some of those? Now what you're going to do is you are going to record or write at least one thing you know and one thing you can do. Are you ready? Pause the video now to record or write at least one thing you know and one thing you can do after reading The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind.
Hey friends, you can pick one of the things that we talked about. Okay? So write down in your journal one thing you know and one thing you can do. All right.
Welcome back, friends. Did you record and write? If you didn't, I suggest you go back and do that. One way to learn new ideas is to study text, and another way is to notice and wonder about a new work of art. Today, instead of studying a book, we're going to be looking closely at some works of art. And as you are looking at each painting, pay close attention to the many details you see. You are going to notice and wonder about 3 pieces of art today. You're going to have 15 seconds of silent viewing time to study each work of art. Are you ready?
Yes.
Let's take a look at the first work of art. Okay, now that the work of art is on your screen, you're going to have 15 seconds to silently study the painting. All right, what do you notice about this painting? What do you notice about this painting? Share with your learning partner.
I noticed by the water, I noticed that they use colors of blues and yellows. But I also noticed that there was a reflection of the windmill in the water. What did you notice?
Here are 8 things I noticed. I noticed a dark windmill, and I noticed a colorful sky. Now, what do you wonder about this painting? Share one question with your learning partner.
I
Did you
wonder.
share your question or your wondering?
I wonder who made this painting.
Here are a few things I wonder. Where is that windmill? What is the yellow part on the bottom? Is it water or sand? All right, let's get ready to look at the second work of art. Remember, you will have 15 seconds to silently study this painting. Are you ready? Begin your silent study now. All right, what do you notice about painting? Share with your learning partner.
I noticed that the windmill's dark, and I also noticed that there's dark clouds up above. And that I wonder if that's the sun in water beaming down.
Here's some things that I noticed. I noticed a windmill by the water. I noticed the dark clouds in the sky. I also noticed that there is some blue sky coming through the dark clouds. Now, what do you wonder about this painting? I'd like you to share one question with your learning partner.
I wonder where this windmill is.
Here are a few questions I had. Where is this windmill? And who made this painting? All right, friends, are you making your observations? We have one more painting left. Are you ready?
Yes.
Here we go. Remember, you're going to silently study this painting for 15 seconds. And that time starts now. All right, what do you notice about this painting? And one more time, you're going to share with your learning partner. What do you notice about this painting?
I noticed there's a window in the middle of the windmill, but I also noticed there's no clouds in this painting. It's all blue and it's all red.
Here are a few things that I noticed. I noticed a red windmill with a small blue window. I also noticed the windmill looks very bright against the blue. One more thing I noticed is that I can't see the whole thing. Part of the blades are out of the picture. Did you notice some of those things as well? Now, what do you wonder about this painting? Share one question with your learning partner or share aloud. What do you wonder about this painting?
I wonder why the artist made this painting like this.
Here are a few things I wondered, or a few questions I had. Is the same artist as the other two? How big is it? Why did the artist make it so bright? Now, what you are going to do is you are going to write down at least one observation and at least one question that you have about these paintings. So pause the video now to write your observation and your question.
Okay, so write one observation you have and one question you have.
Okay, did you write? If you did not, I encourage you to go back and do so, because you will look at these paintings again in future lessons so that you can figure out what is happening in each painting. All right, awesome first graders. Nice job reflecting on the new knowledge you've learned and the skills that you've gained. Next time, we will examine more art, but until then, be kind and do something great, because you are capable of greatness.
All right, now guys, we're done with the video, but we're not done with what we need to do. So what I would like to do now is I want to share a video clip of William. Okay, so hold on a second. Let me get my screen shared again. All right, so this is the William from our story, okay? So we can connect this to real life, okay? So let's watch this video here.
I built the first windmill in 2002 when I was 14 years old. When I started building the windmill, a lot of people in my area thought that I'm going crazy. Now, a lot of them, they just appreciated that you can generate electricity through wind, and most of them, they also want me to help them to build their windmill. The time I started building the windmill, it was the time when I dropped out of school because my parents didn't have any money to send me to school because of the hunger that we are experiencing in the particular year. But I saw the picture of the windmill in the book. Even though the book, they didn't describe what you can do to build that windmill. So I was just using the pictures, and then seeing the picture says that the windmill can pump water and generate electricity. Pump water for irrigation, for a second crop. I say, if I can build this windmill, then I can be able to solve this problem we are facing. So the way I did, I went to a junkyard where I collected all my pieces of the windmill, and then after I put them together, I was able to put it together. I built the windmill to generate electricity for my parents' house. Because before the windmill, we were using a kerosene lamp, which most of the time was causing smokes, and the smokes were causing coughing. We were getting sick frequently. So after I built the windmill, we were using the lights from the windmill, and then there weren't any more coughing in the family. For me, I think that to build the windmill is really easier. I don't think it's difficult.
Okay. So let me go back down here. Stop sharing. All right, so let's talk about this video and the book that we have read now. So what was the same in the video and the book? And what was different? Well, William started building the windmill after he had to drop out of school, didn't he? Because his family didn't have enough money to send him to school. And that was the same in both, right? In the story and in the video also, William saw pictures of windmills in books, and they said they could pump water and generate electricity. So that was the same. William knew if he could build a windmill, then he could help his people. That was in the story and the video. In the video, William is older, and he's talking about when he was younger, when he built the windmill. The video also tells us more about why he wanted to build the windmill to make electricity. He wanted his parents' house to have electricity because the lamps they were using were making him get sick and cough a lot. And also in the video, William says it was easy for him to build the windmill, because in the book, it didn't look that easy, did it? No. Okay. So now what I would like to do is we have an assessment that we need to take now. So let me go back and share again here. I'm going to take that off. We have a new read assessment, okay? So I am going to read this to you and have you answer questions, okay? So the directions say, listen carefully and follow along as your teacher reads the following passages and answer the questions that follow. Okay. So, passage 1. Passage 1 says excerpts from Owl and the Moon. The moon went behind some clouds. Owl looked and looked. The moon was gone. It is always a little sad to say goodbye to a friend, said Owl. Owl came home. He put on his pajamas and went to bed. The room was very dark. Owl was still feeling sad. All at once, Owl's bedroom was filled with silver light. Owl looked out of the window. The moon was coming from behind the clouds. Moon, you have followed me all the way home. What a good round friend you are, said Owl. Then Owl put his head on the pillow and closed his eyes. The moon was shining down through the window. Owl did not feel sad at all. Okay, now we're going to read another text, okay, about What Makes the Wind by Amy Towle. Wind is moving air. It can move so gently that you barely feel it, or it can blow so hard that it knocks down trees. You can make air move. Hold your hand in front of your mouth and blow. Can you feel air pushing against your hand? But what makes the air move outside? The sun. Heat from the sun warms the earth's surface, which then warms the air above it. Warm air is lighter than cold air, so the warm air floats up to the sky. As the warm air rises, cooler, heavier air rushes in to take its place. All that moving air is wind. How wind is made. All right. So let's look at question 1 here. Question 1 says, circle a sensory word and a feeling word in the sentence below. Owl came home. He put on his pajamas and went to bed. The room was very dark. Owl was still feeling sad. So a sensory, meaning sight, smell, taste, hearing, or touch. Okay, circle a sensory word and a feeling word. Okay. You got that down? Okay, let's go to question number 2. Well, number 2. Number 2 says, read the following sentences from Owl and the Moon. Circle the root word in each underlined word below. We've talked about root words, so you've got to circle the root word only, okay, in those underlined words. Owl was feeling sad. Now, feeling is underlined, so circle the root word in feeling. Looked out the window. Looked is underlined. Underline the root word for looked. Okay, number 3. In the text, Owl and the moon is described as coming from behind the clouds. Okay, the directions say, circle the word or phrase that best explains the meaning of the underlined word in the sentence below. The moon reappeared from behind the clouds. Mean hid, appeared again, or was shining. Choose the correct answer. The moon reappeared. So you have to tell me the word or phrase that best explains the meaning of that underlined word. Okay. Number 4, it says, add the following words to the chart below in order from least sad to saddest. So you've got heartbroken and gloomy. Okay, so think about sad to saddest. Which would you put where? Okay. Number 5, it says complete the T-chart below by cutting and pasting the titles of the text that gives information and the title of the text that tells a story in the correct column. Underneath the title, paste 2 characteristics of the text type. Well, we can't cut it apart, so you will have to write it, okay? So I'm going to bring it up right there. So you have those 6, okay? So you have Owl and the Moon, has a problem and a resolution, tells about what happens to a character, can have text features, gives facts, what makes the wind. So you have to decide what story is a text that gives information or what text that tells a story. So you're going to have to figure out which are the book titles and put them where they go. All right. And then after you do that, you have to choose the characteristics that go along with that book. So I will give you a few moments there to do that one. Okay. So if you need more time, you can always pause it, okay? And do what you need to do that way. Okay. So I'm going to escape out. All right. So to finish up the lesson, we are going to read our fluency homework, The Wind by James Reeves. I can get through a doorway without any key and strip the leaves from the great oak tree. I can drive storm clouds and shake tall towers, or steal through a garden and not wake the flowers. Seas I can move and ships I can sink. I can carry a housetop or the scent of a pink. When I'm angry, I can rave and riot, and when I am spent, I lie quiet as quiet. All right. So we are done with this, friends. Thank you for joining me today, and I will see you back here tomorrow. Bye, guys.